It's cool. But one of the things again with those copier dealers is when we see them come over and they start maturing and they're doing well, these guys are getting like 38% margin on product. And how are you doing it? And they're like, leasing, baby, leasing. We don't sell anything. They took their copier model into their IT model and they just lease like crazy. And it's pretty impressive. And I think,
Fascinating. Wow.
isn't it
That's
though?
amazing. That's really fascinating.
Yeah. Yeah. There's one that comes to mind in the Midwest. I think we've watched them grow from about a $12 million MSP, and I think they're going to be about 85 million this year. And they just churn on that leasing, and it's like the bigger the client, the easier it is for them. And I always thought, I wonder why we as an MSP industry didn't really kind of grasp onto that. And my thought is, tracking that leasing takes an accounting department. There's a lot of maturity needed there to track how those funds are moving. All right, welcome back to another episode of the BMK Vision Podcast. We've got our buddy Kevin with us here today out in Baltimore, and we're just going to have a little chat. And let me ask you this first, Kevin. How did you find yourself in this crazy MSP world?
I ask myself that question all the time, but honestly, I started off in accounting. I had a degree. I was starting to go for my degree in accounting, my bachelor's in accounting. After 2 classes of accounting, I realized this is not for me. But those accounting principles are actually still helpful to me today. Got a job, got a degree in computer science, got a job working at a real estate company. Um, People asked me to help them on the side. Went over to my boss because I didn't have any money myself. I said, "Hey, let's open a business together. You bankroll me, I'll do the work, and we'll split the profits." And that's what happened until it came to a point where I said, there's not enough for both of us. I'm going to buy you out. I'm going to get a loan. I figured it all out. And he looks at me and he says, I liked you from the day you walked into my office. Just give me whatever I put into it. Don't pay me a penny more. I just wanted to get you a start. That's how I got started.
Wow, that's that's legitimately awesome. Have you had the opportunity to pay that forward yet in your life?
I see him. He's not well now, and I
Yeah.
go visit him and the family. But I remember that. So when there's ever an opportunity to help somebody, I try to be there
That's awesome.
because that changed my life.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I've moved around this country quite a bit. I grew up on the West Coast. I lived in Buffalo, New York. I lived in Iowa. And I think about, my time in Iowa, and you've never met a more miserable person in your life than me in Iowa. And but that's where I met my mentor. And, he was a very reluctant mentor. He was not a happy, sunshiny guy. Larry Scholes, if you know him, by the way. And I think if
Sure,
I had not
I do know him.
you do know him, right? Great guy.
Yeah, I met him. Yeah.
Yeah. And, he's not a fun and easy guy to work for, but I owe everything I have, from the shoes on my feet to the roof over my head to that moment of just happy to meet him and him giving me my start. And it's, I try to pay that forward as well. And it's awesome when you find somebody like that kind of gives you the hookup. He had no reason to hire me. There was nothing in it for him. So that's cool. So then you fire up, the firm. Is it the same name that you are today, or the same continuous firm?
Yeah, it's the same name. Nothing changed. Listen, I almost went broke twice along the
Yeah.
way. Um, but pulled ourselves out of it, and it came at one point, with God's help, the whole thing clicked, and that was it. We started off in my basement, and now we have 80 employees.
Oh my gosh, that's cool. I think it's when you're younger in your career and you meet the guy with 80 employees and he says, yeah, thank God this, and almost went broke once. It's like you sit there at 25 or 30, like, oh man, I'd kill to have that problem. Rich guy, whatever. But when you get on the other side of it, like, you mean that shit when you say it. It's like, that was terrifying when we almost went out of business. I can't believe there's 80 people out there. You really feel it. You really mean it.
Oh yeah, 100%. Go those years when I thought it was over. Um, I had a situation where I lost a major client, and then one of my employees went to work for my major client. which I learned a lesson there too. And that was it. I was almost broke, and help of God, we just came back, and slowly, yeah, got better and better. And the funny thing is, the way we grew was organically. We did not have a sales guy. So, and I wasn't the guy who's going to all these shows and trying to get people. But if it came to me, I could close a deal. That wasn't a problem. But I wasn't the guy who was going to go marketing, and it was a lot of word of mouth, and that's kind of how we grew. Only a couple of years ago did we hire a sales guy for the first time.
Wow. That's that's pretty impressive. I'm pretty on the record saying you're not going to get past 3 million without a real concentration in the sales department. And I always am very happy to be wrong. And it sounds
Well,
like in both
it,
cases.
let me just, it's about relationships. We had a relationship with each of our clients. So the way we grew is we developed relationships, and we're still extremely relationship driven. We probably leave money on the table because of that in cases, but those relationships build, and those clients grow, and then they tell their friends, and that's how we grew. And I think without that relationship, if it was just transactional, that would never work.
Yeah. Yeah. Makes perfect sense to me. And so how long would you say you're in the IT business then? What would you say? 20 years, 15 years,
29 years.
29 years? Where does that put
Yes.
us? Oh, you were a 1996, 97 guy.
Yes, I was really early on it, and we were, time and materials early, but I switched very early to complete all you can eat billing. And I've been 100% all you can eat billing for probably 20 years.
Uh, and when you say all you can
15,
eat,
15 years maybe.
when you say all you can eat, do you mean like we don't the projects are included or
No, 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 I don't mean
okay,
that.
yeah, yeah, you mean more okay.
No, I mean on the help desk side of things. Yeah, and I screwed up and I got the pricing all wrong, but the model was there. But once the model was there, it was easy to fix the pricing,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah, yeah.
And we're still not perfect.
I get this opportunity to work with copier dealers and that have MSPs. And, the typical reaction from a lot of MSPs is like, oh, copy dealers suck. They don't know how to do it. And they're not entirely wrong, but it's really funny to hear them say what you just said. It's like, once they understand the model, man, they crush it. But it's amazing to me how long it's taken some of them to understand the model. It's like they're taking their knowledge from how to do copiers into the IT world. And it's like, well, that doesn't work, guys. And once they get that and they're like, well, what's the model? Man, they just crush it. And to your point, it's once you understand the model, the pricing starts getting a lot easier.
Yeah, 100%. And then you got to look at, what you're doing for each client. It's about efficiency at that point.
Yeah.
So you get your pricing right, you get the efficiency working. That's key. You got to have the right tools that allow you to be efficient. So
Yeah. Yeah, speaking of tools, so in your journey, you saw Enable come online as the first RMM early on. You saw Zenith Infotech. You saw all
oh
that
man,
evolution
yeah, I was actually started off. I got Kaseya
right from the jump.
from the jump, and I'm going to be honest with you, I didn't know what the hell to do with it. It was so complicated. We got it running to some extent on our server in our office back in the day. And then eventually we switched. What did we do next? I think we probably did Zenith. We were there for quite a while. And yeah, we've been through a number of them.
Yeah. Yeah,
We
it's
just
it
switched last year.
right, right. Your PSA, I believe. Yeah.
Our PSA and our RMM, which
And
is the
your
worst
RMM.
advice to give another MSP. Never switch your tools. It's usually doesn't pay off. But in our case, we felt that we needed to switch our RMM. That was something we needed to do. Our PSA we probably did not need to do. But we're probably better for it. It was a lot of pain.
Yeah, I think there's this thing that happens, up until about 5 years ago, it was, um, every other person we talked to, they're switching RMMs. It was, and it was always funny. It's like, I talked to Bob today. He's going from X to Y. And then I talked to Carl and he's going from Y to X. And I'm like, there's a lesson in there. I don't know what the lesson is, but it was just amazing to see just these vendors just swapping licenses constantly. The PSA was shielded from that. And because it's your Autotask, your ConnectWise, and people were very dogmatic, it was tribal. Then Halo came along, and now we're seeing a lot of action. I'm like, guys, I think you're going to be playing the same RMM game, and that lift is a hell of a lot heavier. No bad on you for changing, but that's a monster.
We switched to Halo early on.
Yeah.
We were a large client to go to Halo, and now we're seeing the results of that, but it took a while. It definitely
Yeah.
took a while. It's a more modern system, and what pushed us to switch the tools were that the tools were stagnating. They weren't putting money into it anymore. They weren't
Right.
changing anything. Automate was done. They weren't. That was it. Manage with that was it. So we moved to a more modern. Are we more? Can we work better? To some extent, there's certain visibilities we have that we didn't have before. Certain things we lost because it's not a mature product, so we didn't have a lot of that third-party integrations. But today we're getting more. We're working directly with Halo, and they're providing the reporting that we need to give us the metrics that we need to run the business. This
Yeah.
is the most important piece.
Yeah, that's I used to do a lot of speaking at the different events, and I was very, very critical of AutoCast, and there's a couple reports, and I was just like, this is crazy. You don't have these reports, and I would, issue the challenge. Hey, come show me. Let me record the session of you pulling the report because this guy just told me that you told them that they could. What I'm a gnat. I'm not. They're not going to care about that. But it was just like I was so mad. And then, watching ConnectWise, like not evolving reporting. And so I'm like, come on, guys. And then when I was sitting in your offices and seeing Halo, and I'm like, this thing is cool. It's so modern. Show me this report. Show me that report. It's like, oh, they're working on it. I'm like, come on, guys. Like, come on,
Yeah,
Halo.
but you know what the difference is, Josh? The
Yeah, tell
difference
me.
is that we got those reports after you left our office. We
Mhm.
said we need X, Y, and Z, and I have them already. And
That's
that's a
awesome.
breath of fresh air.
That's a breath of fresh air. Absolutely. That's great. And I think I was complaining to somebody about, Halo's just made this great tool. They ignored reporting and they kind of took this wise approach and they're like, why should they? There's Cognition 360, there's MSP bots, there's Bright Gauge. Why should they put the time on that? It's like, that's kind of fair, I think, but I don't want to admit defeat on that yet. But if the vendor is responding and saying, yeah, it makes sense. There you go. I think that's really great.
I would tell you, we work with a lot of the third-party vendors, and I think we had most success working directly with Halo and say, I need this report and this report. And they gave us pretty much what we wanted. We tried doing it and the reason why we did all those third parties because in the managed world, that's what you had to do.
Okay.
That's just the way it was. And they existed. And I think we're just used to that. And we just leveraged Halo just recently and said, hey, I need these reports. And we pretty much have them.
That's great. That's awesome. Yeah. It's, I think if we think back into like 13, 14, 15, when managed services was really starting to kind of peak, um, no one was looking at reports. No one was even
Right.
thinking about it. It was just like, do I have 100,000 of recurring revenue? Then I'm good. And,
And there's money in the bank, right? We must be
money in the
doing
bank.
well.
That's right. And then it was, I think, probably 2020 when like everyone, something clicked and dashboards and reports. I'm like, this is cool. This is great. I'd love to see. It's kind of fun to be older and you kind of, especially you see that full arc of, I don't know
Listen,
if,
I started on a Novell network.
yeah. Were you in the era? Larry used to tell me about this. He said, the early days of IT, and he was saying this in 2003. The early days of IT, companies, the VARs, the IT supervisors, they made their money on the product and gave away the service.
Yes,
Were
that
you
is
still on that
absolutely
trail
true.
in that time frame?
Yes, yes, I do remember that. I used
Yeah,
to buy boxes from a company called Lusky, out of Georgia, and they would like do white boxes for me
yeah,
because, and I would just mark them up. I would do free installation at the beginning, and then I realized it didn't make sense, you
right, right.
know. But I was, yeah, hardware is where you made your money in the beginning.
Yeah. What I hear people talk a lot about like there's no margin in product anymore, and I think everyone's story is true to themselves. But I work with a population of clients that they get 20, 25. Talking to a guy yesterday, 28% on product, and I say, "Boy, that sounds really good to me. Like I like that." Do you think the guy who's getting 25% is the same guy saying there's no money in product anymore? Or are we thinking more about the guy who's trying to get 5, 10, 15 points out of it?
I don't think it's the same person. I think it's also a different clientele probably as well.
Yeah. Yeah. And so where
Listen, you don't want to be the cheapest guy. You're not there to beat Amazon. You're there to provide a service and to make it easier on the customer. It's a premium. You'll
that's
pay
right.
a premium for that. And if the customer realizes that, that's fine. The customer say, I don't want that. And, you know,
Did you dabble in the hardware as a service model much?
I never succeeded. I tried it once and
Yeah.
I couldn't sell it. I
Couldn't
think
sell.
I couldn't sell it because I didn't think it was a very good deal for the client. So if I didn't believe in it, I can't sell it. Again, I'm relationship driven usually, with everything I do. So if I don't think I'm doing something that makes sense for the client, you know, lease something if you want to do that, you know.
Yeah, I think of that of those days, and I remember listening to a lot of people on the stage talking about it. I was like, this sounds really cool. And then probably like your accounting brain clicks in, and you're like, I was pay for it. Why am I going to do this? And I think about that every once in a while, saying, was the economic model of it just not developed enough? Was there a way, do you think, to make it work with different economics behind it? Because the concept of you don't want to buy this thing any more than you want to, buy, your electrical box outside your house, but I don't know. What do you think?
I couldn't make the numbers work ever. When you ran the numbers and you compared it to a lease, just lease the stuff. It made more sense. It's the same idea. Um, and then you have the option to buy it out if you wanted to.
Yeah.
I
Did you
guess
ever
it
get,
forces
did you ever,
somebody into a refresh, but
did you ever get yourself, did you ever do much leasing?
I did. Yeah.
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 Were
That for a
you,
while, that was very big.
were you writing it yourself or were you using the bank
No, we're
sometimes?
using a bank
Yeah. Yeah.
in
I,
most cases. Sometimes we did it ourselves, but very rarely.
yeah, I've got one buddy who does, a very specific vertical, and he did kind of this hybrid lease hardware as a service thing on like routers, firewalls, wireless access points, and yeah, probably a couple million a year in that. And then he
Wow.
eventually started like taking it. He used Great America, and he had a great partnership with them. And then when he got a comfortable size, he just started underwriting himself, and it was just like, man, now my margins are really sick. But he stayed to those very specific devices. He never got into the whole network type of scheme. That
That's cool.
I get excited. I get excited
Yeah.
for him on that.
That's an interesting idea. It really is.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's cool. But one of the things again with those copier dealers is when we see them come over and then they start maturing and they're doing well. These guys are getting like 35, 38% margin on product. And how are you doing it? And they're like, leasing, baby, leasing. We don't sell anything. They took their copier model into their IT model and they just lease like crazy. And it's pretty impressive. And I think,
Fascinating. Wow.
isn't it
That's
though?
amazing. That's really fascinating.
Yeah. Yeah. There's one that comes to mind in the Midwest. I think we've watched them grow from about a $12 million MSP, and I think they're going to be about 85 million this year. And they just churn on that leasing, and it's like the bigger the client, the easier it is for them. And I always thought, I wonder why we as an MSP industry didn't really kind of grasp onto that. And my thought is cracking that leasing takes an accounting department. There's a lot of maturity needed there to track how those funds are moving. But
Uh-huh.
I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I think you're right. I do think you're right. I think, we're tech people at heart. So, we're tech people turned into business people. And I think you're right about that. But it's a fascinating idea how to get your margins on your hardware.
We'll be right back with more, but first, here's a quick message from Baring McKinley.
Most MSPs are constantly busy, chasing tickets, projects, and fires. But without structure, it's hard to know if the business is really improving. Vision from Baring McKinley is the system that helps you work on your business, not just in it. It connects leadership strategy with daily execution. Vision aligns people, process, and performance, creating clarity and rhythm from goals to results. And the Vision app brings that structure to life, helping you create policies, track goals, review KPIs, and collaborate with your BMK consultant all in one place. Behind it all, Jetson AI, your assistant inside Vision, helps you find answers, generate insights, and take action faster. With Vision, you gain visibility, accountability, and measurable growth. You're not guessing, you're improving. Vision, Jetson, and the Vision app, your path from strategy to results. Start transforming your business today.
All right, let's get back to the conversation.
Your friend is what percentage is hardware and what percentage is services?
So the guy doing the firewalls and whatnot.
Yeah.
Oh gosh. I think he is in the realm. It's a little harder to measure in that case because he's got to do a lot of balance sheet transaction on that. I would say, boy, you know what? I don't even know, Kevin, because so much of it is when you're wrapping that in, you're not really selling it. Because in this case, the guy with that he's self-funding it, that's hardware as a service for the most part.
Right.
Now, when we think about those copier dealers that are doing leasing, oh yeah, they're just like the rest of us, anywhere from 20 to 35% of their revenues coming from product. They're just cranking a great margin.
I
But
kind of feel like those copier guys are more successful on the hardware side of things than they are on the service side of things.
it would make sense, right?
That's what they're used to. That's their thing.
That's
Yeah.
their goal. And Great America, this isn't a commercial of Great America. I mean, they did a big period for a few years where they were like trying to teach the MSP, trying to get them to see. I mean, obviously there's something in it for them, but they really were pressing, and I think they just like, never mind. MSP
They're a
don't
good
want
partner
this.
though. They work with you well.
They do.
Good company.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. So you come up through and make our money on product. You saw the managed services. You're early to it. You saw the hardware as a service phase, and I found out if it was going to work for you or not. And then we land here in 2025, and you've got more options. You've got are we going to get into advisory and consultancy? Are we going to get into automation? Are we going to turn into business process people? What's kind of your outlook today?
I mean, right now it's about security and AI and automation, right? Being more efficient. I had lunch with somebody today. We're talking about how AI can help his company and how he's leveraging AI. That's what everybody wants to talk about.
Right.
We've got to figure out, first of all, how to use it in our MSPs successfully. And that's something we're delving into and looking at different options. But I think that's where we have to, again, it's about efficiency. You've got to run an efficient operation and you can leverage AI to do that.
As a technical guy, um, I'm not a technical guy, and I'm so fascinated with automation and tools like Thread and Roost, and I'm like, I want to learn. I want to figure this stuff out. I want to do it. And I'm like, well, I don't have the chops for it. I don't really have the brain for it. And I don't have any experience with it. Uh, which is probably a good thing, because if I did, I would probably burn a lot of cycles learning about it. How do you, as a not 25-year-old with other shit to do, looking at this technology, do you feel the compulsion to kind of dig in and figure it out, or are you in a different stage of
I do,
maturity?
I do, I do, and I don't. I know it's there, and I know we need to leverage it, and I don't want to be left behind. And I think it's important. I use it personally when I'm writing emails or working with my inbox, whatever I'm doing there. But again, I think it could be used for triage. I think it could be used for first level support in some cases. You got to be really careful. It's got to be done correctly. And the one thing I know is that as I went out, I started off as an engineer. I haven't worked as an engineer in many, many years.
Right.
So I talk to my own people and I say, hey, I think this is an idea. I want you to look into it for me. Tell me how this is going to affect your department and report back, and then we'll discuss it. And I think that's our approach we're going to be taking.
So with this idea that AI is coming, automation is coming, but your answer is kind of my answer, and the answer I hear most often is like we've got to deploy it in our own ecosystem to learn how to use it. I'm getting this feeling, and I'm always wrong. I'm a terrible visionary. I'm always wrong, but I have this kind of thing where I'm like, I don't know how much runway we have. Like, if we're slow to get it really, spun up in our own environment, the client is the prospect and the client, when do they start getting knocks on the door from a newly spun up firm saying, hey, keep your MSP, they'll keep your stuff secure. I'll work on the fun shit with you. Like, do you think there's a time pressure at all
It's
right
already happening. I've had clients that are already, and I know companies that work specifically and do that.
now?
Sometimes
Really?
we'll recommend them because we're not ready to do it ourselves. Hey, this company focuses on how AI is going to help your company. We're going to make that partnership. So we have a piece of it. But yes, it's happening already. And I think it's important that everybody gets on board.
No kidding. So you've already found somebody who does that kind of work.
Absolutely. Yeah,
What did they look like? What was their history if you know much about them?
I actually do. Um, one of the owners was a former MSP who sold,
Yeah.
and he went into an AI company and he focuses on that. And he actually works with other MSPs to help get them in their operation working with AI and customers. So um, that's the one that I know. And there's another one I know as well. I don't know their history though.
Yeah.
But
So
there are
this,
companies out there that are doing it.
yeah, no, I feel this pressure, even in my own business, like we're consultants, we're idea people, we're structure plan, process people. And it's like, we built an amazing AI agent for ourselves and for our clients. It's like, you can ask it anything MSP related, and it's going to give a better answer than me. Because I've seeded it. The database is all our thoughts and ideas and experience. So the answer, I'm like, oh yeah, that's a better answer than I would have given. Like, man, that's scary. So I think the pressure for us, but the pressure for the MSP, it's like, are you just marching towards a slow or fast death? Or is it like, it's going to take a decade. It's going to, before we really feel it, kind of compromising our relationships with our clients.
I think that I think that it's already impacting, and I think we have to get on board. And I think it's very important. And I think if we leverage it, we can do our jobs a lot better and a lot more efficiently. Our margins can go up. We're gonna need less people to do what we need to do. Um, and that's how we can leverage it. We're far away from that, I believe. We're always going to need people, but we may be doing things differently and a little more efficient ways.
Have you started playing with or being exposed to a tool called Thread?
Yes. I mean, I've looked at it.
You've looked at
I
it.
was looked at it this morning. It's funny that you mention it.
Oh, funny.
I had a meeting with my VP of Technical Services, Joel, and I say, Joel, you got to look into this product. We got to see how we can utilize it. I've already seen a couple demos,
Yeah.
and we're going to do a deep dive. Halo has a built-in AI function as well that we're looking into. And what that does, it looks at the history of ticket notes, and we'll make recommendations based on that of what the engineer should do.
That's cool. That's cool. And that's, ConnectWise appears to be slow with that, and as always, great companies like Crushbank are trying to do something fun,
Right,
and, it's
right.
like, get good, but, Halo's already, putting it in. I've heard a couple of really good buddy MSP owners who are exploring Thread, and yeah, maybe like yourself a little bit, maybe like a lot of MSP owners, they don't like anything. They're like, they're skeptical of everything. And to hear these two individuals like kind of light up talking about their early testing with it, they're like, I almost don't want to believe what I'm seeing because it looks too good to be true. And they're like, every time I have that feeling, it does what I asked it to do. So that's scary and exciting.
It is exciting. I've heard good things about it. We're going to do a deep dive with it over the next 6 months
Yeah.
and incorporate AI where it makes sense.
Yeah.
We're not going to just run it because it's AI and it's the thing to do. It's got to make sense and it's got to really solve a problem for us.
That's right. Oh, the other one that I get excited about is, do you remember like in the teens, like 2013, 16, a company called Process Plan?
No.
So they were awesome. They were cool. And I, as I described their model, that they might call me and say, no, you had it all wrong. But what I remember their model being, because I always had this like kind of empathy or sympathy for them. They would come into an MSP and say, hey, Kevin, we got you. We're going to sit with your people and we're going to write your processes for you. And we've got a bunch of processes and we're going to get those
Oh,
implemented.
I remember these guys. I do remember them. Yeah.
Yeah, really awesome idea and awesome guys. And I just always thought, yeah, I work with a lot of MSPs and they all say they want process, but they don't want process. They not yet. So I'd kind of forgotten about them. And then I got like a, email blast from them. It wasn't to me specifically. And they said, we'll build you an AI employee. And I was like, what? And so I called, it was the founder, and I was talking to him, and he was showing me that no one else should be amazed by this. I'm just easily impressed, I guess. But he was like, what we do, Josh, is we first thing we do is we build you an AI employee workstation, like an actual computer with all the stuff. And that AI agent is just waiting for a task. And here's how we give them the task. You can tell us your process. We're going to build this huge decision tree. Yes, this, if that, then this. And that's beautiful. Or you can just record yourself doing a task, sending out your agreement invoices. Just record yourself doing that. Send it to us. We'll do whatever we got to do. And next thing you know, your AI employee is going to be doing that for you.
Wow.
And the demo he gave, he kind of said, at first it's just kind of quote unquote dumb. Click here, click there. But over time, it starts getting to this place where it can start making some rational decisions. Well, the field said this, but that field says that. Those are the same. I'll go ahead and continue. And then it logs everything. So if something broke, it can go back. You can go back and reference, say, oh, it was right here that it broke. Like,
Wow.
I was blown away. And I was telling him, I'm blown away. It's so cool. He said, you're asking me about administrative tasks. If I showed you the technical tasks it does, now your brain's really going to explode. And so I've asked people like yourself and just say, hey, can I believe what I'm seeing? And, people are like, yeah, dude, that it's there. Like it just, how early do you want to adopt it? And how early do you want to trust it is the only question now.
It's never going to change the relationship piece of it, the empathy piece of it. You still need that. We built out, one of the things that we did in the last 5 years is we built out a whole AM team. We have somebody who runs our whole customer success program.
Yeah.
Katrina, she's amazing.
Yeah.
And I think you met her.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's really important. So we keep that connection with the clients. AI is never going to replace it.
No, it's not. It's going to make, people like Katrina, their world's easier. It's going to make it more efficient. But no, I think there's that component, at least in our lifetime, for sure. It's going to be, I want to talk to that really friendly voice, and I want to be able to just tell them why I'm happy or why I'm not happy and have a human response that's meaningful and genuine. Yeah.
When nothing's working, you want to talk to somebody. You don't want to talk to a bot,
Yeah.
You want that empathy.
Yeah, that's right.
I got it. Don't worry about it.
That's right.
Right.
I called United Airlines probably a month now, and I call and I'm like, I need to change this ticket and do all this kind of complicated stuff. And dude, it took me 5 minutes of a 15-minute call to realize that I wasn't talking to a human. It was so good. It just
Wow.
blew my mind. And then, then I was looking for some life insurance, and I get on some broker thing, and then my phone rings and I pick it up, and this guy's talking to me. And about 2 minutes in, I'm like, are you are you AI? Are you a human? And he's like, man, I don't know if I should be offended or not, but no, I'm a human. I was like, I was like, you're just your cadence and everything just sounds, and you're just
Oh,
so
that's great.
efficiently exactly the right question. It's like, man, how many more times am I getting confused in the next, 5 years? Probably a few. Probably a few. No, this is interesting, Kevin. I'm always interested to hear everyone's takes on automation and whatnot. If you had to sit here and predict, um, what a technical hire for you would look like 5 years from now. You're looking for a level in today's world, the level 2 tech. Um, what do you think that person looks like in 5 years?
That person's going to need to know how to leverage AI. That's for sure.
Okay.
Absolutely. Um, I don't know if it's going to look all that different than it does today,
Yeah.
as far as the person is concerned. I may need less people because I can do more with less. But at the end of the day, I think it's probably a similar person than it is today.
What do you think? What do you think their I don't want to ask this in a too leading of a question, but will they need to bring more skill sets outside of technology to the table, do you think?
Like what?
Well, again, I didn't want to be too leading, but do you think they're going to have more business acumen, more business kind of thought around how does a company actually function?
I
What
think
a business?
I think you need it today. I think somebody needs to understand what it means. If you're asking somebody to spend money on something, you better make a reason for it, an ROI, or why they need to do that. And I think it's really important today, even our people that are advising our clients, they need to understand where those clients sit and what's important to them. If they've got a business to run with a budget, they've got to spend X amount of dollars. They don't have all the dollars in the world to do everything. Again, you could go down that security rabbit hole that you could continue to spend. You got to know that. You have to understand. And I think it's important even today. I don't think it changes with AI. It may be easier with AI, but I think it's important today. I think the skill sets have to be there.
Yeah, I get it, and I hear you when you say I think today that technician needs to have, that
I
business
teach that to my engineers all the time. You know, it's their wallet. We have to work with what they have and figure a solution for them. That makes sense.
All right. Kevin, you mentioned you're at 80 employees. Again, you're not 25. If we go back and get in your head 15 years ago, and we said, okay, there's a day that you have 80 employees, and life is pretty good. Describe your day, or asking the 15 years ago version of you, what do you think that version of you would think your life would look like when they're at 80 employees?
I don't think I would have believed it could ever happen. 15 years ago, I was working all the time. I got a great story actually. My
Yeah.
kids were little. We were on a lake in Michigan on a boat, and I don't know how long ago it was, but when I leaned over, I guess my Nextel phone, that gives it away, fell into the water. And I go, oh my God, I'm in Michigan. They can't reach me, my clients. I turn around and I see my kids and my wife clapping.
No.
Uh, that was a good message. Yeah, I was working really hard those days, and I always thought, I couldn't even imagine it would get to 80 people. It's very satisfying.
So I guess more practically then, at the size you're at today, do you love your day to day?
I do.
Do you really?
I really do.
Yeah. That's cool. That's cool. I love my day to day, but I'm not 80 employees. In my
I've got
mind,
s- I've got great people working for me. They're
Yeah.
friends. We're a close-knit group. I love
Yeah.
coming to work.
Yeah. Oh, I'm glad to hear it. And the guy with the hardware service, he's about 40, 45, and same thing. He's just like, no, man, I love it. I love every minute of it. And in my mind, I'm like, man, if I was eating people, you wouldn't know you wouldn't know my name. And I love what I do, but I still just get this
I
kind of
still do
vibes.
client visits. I go out to
Yeah.
clients. I travel. I'm on a plane all the time.
No kidding.
We have a national presence, so I'll visit those sites and say, "Hey, I'm the owner. I want you to know that, I want to make sure they know there's a real company behind it. It's not just an 800 number.
Yeah. Yeah. So when you kind of track back through your past, I think there is something that a notion could be had that, um, when you reach a certain position, you don't have as much fear. So when you're talking to any client, you can come at it from a very confident, calm, genuine place. Where when you're kind of in a fear mode, when we're a little smaller, it's like, I'm about to go see this client. Am I about to get fired? Are they going to yell at me? Are they going to be happy? Like, is there
Yeah,
anything that comes with your level of success that gives you more ease with meeting and spending the
I've
time?
built relationships. My clients become my friends, and
Yeah.
I went to lunch with one today. See one next week. It's important to keep that up, and that's what keeps me going. It's all about the relationships and connecting and seeing what we can do to help. But yeah, for sure. You mean in the beginning, oh my God, I'm going to lose this client. What am I going to do? If I lose this client, I can't pay these people. It's a different equation.
Yeah. And Kevin, you mentioned getting on a plane. So I guess we could all presume that not all your clients are in your zip code. How big of a footprint and how much is concentrated outside of your immediate footprint?
So one of our client types have a national presence. So we're all over the place. Ohio, Kentucky, Missouri, Arizona, all the way out to Arizona, down to Florida. Um, I feel like I flew to every Southwest city that exists.
Nice. Nice. And do you enjoy that?
I don't mind it. Now my kids are older. It's really not a problem. I like meeting people. I like seeing the people. It doesn't bother me.
Yeah. I spent about 10 years of my career when the kids were younger, unfortunately, where I was constantly traveling to my clients, and I just got worn out. And then I got like this 7, 8 year break where it's like, oh man, I haven't been to a client location in a long time. And there's, pros and cons in that. But now my boys are a little older and they're out of the house. And it's like, man, I like going to the client location. This is when this stuff gets done. This is really cool. And
Right,
staying in that
exactly.
shitty Hampton Inn is not as bad when I'm not missing my, 12-year-old boy at home. It's kind of, it all hits different.
I was once traveling so much that I woke up and I looked around. You mentioned the Hampton Inn. Looked
Yeah.
around and I said, "What city am I in?"
Yeah.
For a second, I didn't know where I was because they all look the same.
Dude, that's so, I remember those days where you're just like, where am I? What is this? Dude, I had this period where my nervous system must have just been shot. I mean, I felt fine, but I started sleepwalking a little bit. And
Really?
yeah, so I was like, it happened enough that I would wake up and I kind of half awake and be like, I'm standing at the window of this hotel. I started sleeping with like a t-shirt around my arm and my key card like tucked into my waistband. So I started having this nightmare that I'm going to leave my hotel room and be locked out, standing there in whatever I'm sleeping in. So it's just, that's it. It's like I'm adapting to something that isn't normal. Like, what am I doing?
Yeah, then you know it's time to take a break.
Exactly, exactly. Now, are you a guy that goes to a lot of the industry trade shows?
I don't go to a lot. I'm gonna be honest with you.
Yeah,
I go to some.
yeah,
They're all the same to me at the end of the day. The
yeah,
same vendors over and over again. You
yeah.
know, um,
Was there
I'm
a
not a
period
fan
or
of
a season?
vendor-sponsored shows. I feel
You're
like
not a fan.
not really. I'd
Got
love to do more of the independent shows,
it.
things
Hmm.
like that, but I
You
do
know,
both.
I loved IT Nation. I still think it's a great show, but there was a period when all this, most of the speakers were non-ConnectWise employees, and they would actually pay you to speak, and then they stop paying, but then they just get this predominance of just bringing their own people in. Autotask did that from day one. It's just like they're not bringing in outside speakers. They wanted to control their environment so much, but ConnectWise just under Arnie's control, they, as much as you can make fun of Arnie and kind of think he's bombastic or whatever, he really gave a shit about the community. And IT Nation in the first 10 years was just it was incredible. But
Absolutely.
yeah, you go now, and I think if you're a young person or young in your career, it's like this is amazing. Like, and it is. But if you've been to enough, you kind of get the rhythm where it's like once I know that they're making money off of that show, I'm no longer as enamored with it. This
Yeah,
did
I'm
not
with you.
get off the
I'm with
center.
you. I'm totally with you on it.
So
Although,
are there?
now you'll see, even I think Autotask was at an IT Nation.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Pretty sure. I might
Yeah.
be wrong.
Well, just watching how the mergers happen, it's like, oh, Dado and this, and now
Right.
they're a vendor. They got to connect. It's been funny, especially your tenure and all this. You've seen massive companies on day zero. You've seen them bought, you've seen them sold, you've seen it all. And I guess maybe as we start winding down, what's your take? We obviously have seen our vendors get, whatever your perspective is. Mine is, PE is terrible for our little industry. But on the vendor side, we get this part where now we're seeing for, 6, 7, 8, 9 years now, PE gobbling up our competitors. What's you got a hot take on this acquisition with PE firms becoming part of our landscape?
You mean as far as the vendors are concerned, or the
Well,
MSPs?
we're like, they're buying your competitor and they're buying MSPs and they're, participating in that.
When PE gets involved, I do think that some of the heart is gone.
Yeah.
Uh, I think things get lost. It's
Yeah.
all about the numbers at that point.
Right.
So, like the vendors, you see the vendors that were bought up by PE, they're different vendors than they were before. They're not working to increase their or improve their product, or they're getting by, if that makes sense.
Well, I had there's this guy, Ray, and he has a really great podcast called End of the Day with Ray. And he's real expert in the copier space and really has a great voice in the MSP space. And we were having this conversation. And he's like, Josh, I mean, you can shit on PE all you want, and there are some that should be. But he said there's layers to the PE game. So he said the ones that I don't mind are the PEs that are the buy and hold. Because I'm used to the Tomo Bravos, buy, consolidate, mash, and just look for their exit, which they haven't found yet, but which I would say would. But he said that some of the Ps that are buying up your MSPs, they don't suck the soul out as much because it's kind of like we just want to own you. I'm like, oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I've seen some good PE products. I mean, people that have bought them and actually improved the MSP
Yeah,
and work as partners. A number of my friends have sold,
yeah,
and they've really improved things. So,
yeah.
some PE operators are really really good.
I think, and again, I'm a tiny podcast, so I can name names, and it doesn't matter. But like Evergreen, I think is one that I was told is kind of they're the buy and hold folks, and I was like, well, that's cool. I don't know if it's true or not, but if that
They're
is
good folks. They are. Yeah.
Evergreen is,
Yeah.
oh
I got the
good,
same impression.
oh good, yeah. I'm new to considering all of that, so good to get I'm on the right track. Well, Kevin, I appreciate you coming on and just, having a little chat with me for everyone to listen. Um, it, where can people find you out in the world?
Where can they find me? Well, I'm in Baltimore, companies in telecom.
Yeah.
Telecom.net is my website. I'm around.
Nice. All right. Good. Good. Well, thanks again for coming on. Everyone else, if we earned it, give us a like, a share, a subscribe, make a comment. Tell us what you agree with, what you don't, what you disagree with. We read them. We love responding to them. And Kevin, have a great holiday season. And everyone else, bye-bye.
Thank you. You too. Bye bye.